Here Comes McBroom by Sid Fleischman, Part 1. McBroom the Rainmaker. I dislike telling you this, but some folks have no regard for the truth. A stranger claims he was riding a mule past our wonderful 1 acre farm and was attacked by woodpeckers. Well, there's no truth to that. No, indeed. Those weren't woodpeckers, they were common prairie mosquitoes, small ones. Why, skeeters grow so large out here that everybody uses chicken wire for mosquito netting. I'm not going to say an unkind word about those zigzagging, hot tempered, needle nosed creatures. They rescued our farm from ruin. That was during the big drought we had last year. Dry? Merciful powers. Our youngins found some pollywogs and had to teach them to swim. It hadn't rained in so long those tadpoles had never seen water. That's the sworn truth, certain as my name's Josh McBroom. Why, I'd as soon grab a skunk by the tail as tell a falsehood. Now I best creep up on the big drought the way it crept up on us. I remember we did our spring plowing as usual, and the skeeters hatched out as usual. The blood-sucking rapscallions could be mighty pesky, but we learned to distract them. The thirsty critters would drink up anything red. Will, Jill, Hester, Chester, Peter, Polly, Tim, Tom, Mary, Larry, and little Clorinda, I called out. I hear the whine of gallopiners. Better put in a patch of beets. Once the beets were up, the skeeters stuck in their long beaks like straws. Didn't they feast, though? They drained out the red juice. The beets turned white, and we harvested them as turnips. The first sign of a dry spell coming was when our clocks began running slow. We grew our clocks on the farm, vegetable clocks. Now, I'll admit that may be hard to believe, but not if you understand the remarkable nature of our topsoil. Rich? Glory be. Anything would grow in it, lickety bang. 3 or 4 crops a day until the confounded big dry came along. Of course, we didn't grow clocks with gears and springs and a name on the dial. Came close once, though. I dropped my dollar pocket watch one day, and before I could find it, the thing had put down roots and grown into a $3 alarm clock. But it never kept accurate time after that. It was our youngins who discovered they could tell time by vegetable. They planted a cucumber seed, and once the vine leaped out of the ground, it traveled along steady as a clock. An inch a second, Will said, kind of like a second hand. Blossoms come out on the minute, Jill said, kind of like a minute hand. They tried other vegetable timepieces, but pole beans had a way of running a mite fast, and squash a mite slow. As I say, those homegrown clocks began running down. I remember my dear wife Melissa was boiling 3.5-minute eggs for breakfast. Little Clorinda planted a cucumber seed, and before it grew 3 blossoms and 30 inches, those eggs were hard boiled. Mercy, I declared. Topsoil must be drying out. But I wasn't worried. Rain would turn up. What turned up was our neighbor Heck Jones. Rusty nails stuck out of his bulging pockets. He was a tall, scrawny man with eyes shifty as minnows. Hee-haw, he laughed. Droughts are coming. You won't be able to grow weeds. Better buy some of my rain nails. Rain nails, I said. Magnetize them myself, he grinned. Secret formula, neighbor. Pound them in the ground, and they'll draw rain clouds like flies to a garbage heap. Fiddle faddle, I declared. Flapdoodle, sir. Why, only $5 apiece. I'm merely trying to be of service, neighbor. Other farmers will buy my rain nails. Hee-haw! And off he went, cackling through his nose. Wasn't he an infernal scoundrel, I thought, setting out to swindle his neighbors into buying rusty old nails at $5 each? Well, the days turned drier and drier, no doubt about it. Our wonderful topsoil was losing some of its get up and go. Why, it took almost a whole day to raise a crop of corn. The youngest had planted a plum tree, but all it would grow was prunes. Dogs would fight over a dry bone for the moisture in it. Will, Jill, Hester, Chester, Peter, Polly, Tim, Tom, Mary, Larry, and little Clorinda, I called. Keep your eyes peeled for rain. They took turns in the treehouse scanning the skies. And one night Chester said, Pa, what if it doesn't rain by 4th of July? How we shoot off firecrackers? Be patient, my lambs, I said. We used to grow our own firecrackers, too. Don't let me forget to tell you about it. Why, it's a long spell to 4th of July. My, wasn't the next morning a scorcher? The sun came out so hot that our hens laid fried eggs. But no, that wasn't the big dry. The youngest planted watermelons to cool off and beets to keep the mosquitoes away. Look, Polly exclaimed, pointing to the watermelons. Pa, they're rising off the ground. Rising? They began to float in the air like balloons. We could hardly believe our eyes. And gracious me, when we cut those melons open, it turned out they were full of hot air. Hee-haw, Heck Jones laughed. There he stood, jingling the rusty nails in his pocket. Better buy some rain nails, only $10 apiece. I shot him a scowl. You've doubled the price, sir. True, neighbor, and the weather's double as dry. Big droughts are coming. It's almost here. How many $10 rain nails do you want? Flim flam, I answered stoutly. None, sir. And off he went, cackling through his nose. Drought wasn't a worry to him. Heck Jones was such a shiftless farmer that he could carry a whole year's harvest in a tin cup. Now he was making himself rich, peddling flim flam, flap doodle, fiddle faddle rain attractors. Farmers all over the county were hammering those useless rusty old nails into the ground. They were getting desperate. Well, I was getting a mite worried myself. Our beets were growing smaller and smaller, and the skeeters were growing larger and larger. Many a time before dawn, a rapping at the windows would wake us. Mr. B, please. Would wake us out of sleep. It was those confounded needle-nosed gallipooters pecking away, demanding breakfast. Then it came, the big dry. Mercy! Our cow began giving powdered milk. We pumped away on our water pump, but all it brought up was steam. The oldest boys went fishing and caught 6 dried catfish. Not a rain cloud in sight, Pa, Mary called from the treehouse. Watch out for gallipooters, Larry shouted as a mosquito made a dive at him. The earth was so parched we couldn't raise a crop of beets, and the varmints were getting downright ornery. Then, as I stood there, I felt my shoes getting tighter and tighter. I looked down. They must have shrunk 2 sizes. Thunderation, I exclaimed. Our topsoil's so dry it's gone in reverse. It's shrinking things. Didn't I stay awake most of the night? Our wonderful 1-acre farm might shrink to a square foot. And all night long the skeeters rattled the windows and hammered at the door. Big? The smallest ones must have weighed 3 pounds. In the moonlight, I saw them chase a yellow-billed cuckoo. But that didn't make me sit up in a hurry. An idea struck me. Glory be, I'd break that drought. First thing in the morning, I took Will and Chester to town with me and rented 3 wagons and a bird cage. We drove straight home, and I called everyone together.